Hey everyone. You may or may not be wondering whatever happened to the Doom 2 modding. Well, I've made significant progress in this, thanks to the Russian guy at Magic Team for making his original Doom 2 editing tool, just so I knew what the names of the textures and stuff are stored and what the PC counterparts are, which really bloody helps. And the thing that I think that helps the most is every image or every texture flat sprite has a certain amount of offsets added to every single sprite for some reason. I don't know why they decided to do this, but it makes it more confusing regardless. So anyway, I've written a bunch of tools in Blitz Max, same people that made Blitz 3D, Blitz Plus, you may or may not have heard of them. So the first one is decompile. You put doom2.gba next to it and it exports a whole bunch of crap. And I've also got some other tools like palette viewer, flat reader, image reader, and texture and sprite viewer, and a bunch of other shit. Anyway, so you get a bunch of these. D2M files are just blank parts in the ROM, so we can store uncensored textures in there. Flat. The game stores 7 copies of every flat in the game. For example, I've only written up the blood, the animated blood on the floor, and every time it shrinks slightly more and more pixelated. 4x4, 2x2, until it's basically just 1 pixel. So that's how the textures and everything work in the game. So it stores 7 copies for flats of the same thing. Textures work a lot differently though. So, by the way, the weird greys is how it shows up in the game. But yeah, textures can actually recycle vertical lines. Like say, if this one here is the same as this line here, then it will just reuse that part again. And that means every single horizontal pixel is times by 4, because it has to store 4 bytes to keep the offset. They're very confusing fucking shit. I'm just going to release the source code to all these tools eventually, when I finish defining everything. And we got the brick. And recently I just defined the whatchamacallit. There we go, Wolfenstein. There we go. The Wolfenstein levels are in the game. Textures store 8 copies, by the way, same with sprites. It's just flats that only store 7. How this thing works is I've got a shitload of bin files, and every one of these bin files, text files, basically just say to the tools what it is. It's a texture. What offset does it start? 33162220, which is the Wolfenstein one. So if I was to open in a hex editor, go to that line, it'll be right here. So this is just the header for a lot of the textures. You can see D-brain, skin face, anyway. So all that does is convert it to a readable format. The other tool I have, D2 to PNG, and what that one does is it searches through all the files that have been extracted, since this is using one of the other tools to view them, and exports it to another folder called PNG. So then you can actually just use Paint. I've put Medieval as one of the replacements, and you should see that in a minute. So if you want to put new textures or replace them with the PC versions, you just simply copy the file into recompile. So I've got some back files, backups and whatnot. Texture, big door. Anyway, so the best way to replace something is by going to a texture or something and just converting them that way. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to look up I don't know, a cricket or something. Alright, say that you want that to be one of the walls. So what you do is you can either use the D2 to PNG, but that converts everything. I just want to convert one thing. So the best way to do it is to probably go texture. What's this one? I should pipe 4. There we go. So that's part 4. So all I have to do is press spacebar to export to PNG. So there we go. And to do all the resize ones, I'll just do another way. So PNG texture, there we go. Just open that in paint.net. There we go. I'd say that's pretty good. Now what you got to do is use one of our other tools, PNG to Doom 2. So we do that. It scans through all the files for a PNG and converts it back to a normal file format that the game understands. So we got part 1, got the cricket, but then you still got all the other resized textures, like I still got the medieval one from before. Now, actually while I'm here, I'll replace it with the PC palette, since everything incorporates it from the decompile folder. All you gotta do is replace that one, and then all the conversion tools should use the other palette. Yeah, this is confusing. I'm gonna be spending 10 years talking about this, so I'll convert it again using the PC version of the palette. Part 4. Yep, that's pretty good. There we go, we got black instead of pink and blue, whatever. So if you want to replace these smaller versions of the textures easily without having to edit every single one, just go X1 downscaler. There's also a PNG version that uses a linear filter, but it doesn't really blend in with the palette very well. Now, all the other ones underneath have also been resized. So there's the cricket again. More pixelated, more pixelated. So when you're done with all the changes in the recompile folder, you hit recompile, which basically adds everything back into the ROM. And it names it as recomp.gba. So you run this one, make sure OBS is got the desktop audio turned down a little bit. There we go. Just fast forward. There we go, there's our cricket. Also, this is what I meant by it recycles parts of textures. Like this one line was obviously the same as another part, so it just did it twice. But yeah, works out pretty well. Yeah, I've also, alongside that, I've, whatchamacallit, I've put the PC palette on there, corrected the color map, which is another thing I go and show. Go to the PNG one. Texture, T-image, that's what it is. There we go. Color map. So this isn't the exact one from the game, this is one I've made for it. And it actually has quite a few. One thing that's different is it starts off from the middle compared to the PC one. I'll actually open up the... Alright, here's what the PC color map looks like. Game Boy Advance one looks something like this. So, on the top it actually has brighter palettes. So all I've done is just resize the PC version and then just stretched out and faded out the top part. Like, I could just simply replace it, but if you turn around in the game, any wall texture that uses the middle will blink. Anyway, so basically you could turn this whole color map invisible and there will still be a few walls that flicker, like between normal colors. So unfortunately I can't just straight up use the PC color map, I have to modify it a little bit. So I've basically just put slightly brighter versions, use close as possible colors. Some of it looks a bit weird, but shows up good enough in the game. And yeah, now all the colors are fixed. However, in the actual game, the wall textures need to be adjusted for the new palette, which I have not done. I have done it for the door, so the door actually looks really nice. I'll turn this down actually. It's loud for me. Anyway. The other thing I've done is these walls here. They actually have been replaced with a new palette, so they work fine. While the other ones you may notice are flickering between weird greys. Mainly the ones with the lights on top. But yeah. This one here I've used my tool to correct to the PC one. Also the flooring. Actually, I'm just going to open a second copy. Doom 2. This is the original, unchanged everywhere. So yeah. You know, one thing I hate about this emulator is it controls both at the same time. Oh crap. There we go. So the HUD looks far better on the one on the left. Oh, for fuck's sake. Alright, there we go. So all the browns are a bit off if you're comparing it to the PC version. There we go. That's what the ground looks like on the Game Boy Advance original. This is what the ground looks like on the modded version. So I just have to replace every texture in the game with the piece, like the exact same one as the PC one, and it should look almost just as good. So a lot of work. Also by doing that it'll uncensor everything too. So restore the red blood. All I've done is restored the red blood on the little sprites, not the actual characters themselves, because I have to define every single frame in that bin folder with the text files. So yeah, I guess the last thing to show you is, we'll show you all, is the T image. Got some stat screen defs. There's that. We've also got image itself, got all the HUD's images for all the different colors and multiplayer. And there we are. There's the status bar. And also not that one. Got all the keys. They don't seem to use transparency or anything, they just go on top of the actual bar. I suppose I got the ROM viewer. Yeah, how this thing works is it actually just turns bytes, like actual bytes, into just parts of the color palette. So you can shift it left to right, up and down, resize it, and this is where you can actually figure out a lot of stuff. So we can tell that's a status bar. You can also tell that there's numbers. Just keep resizing. So there's the actual numbers from the status bar. But we haven't just got one, we've got quite a few different copies. And then we've got all the heads. I've already resized the window, but yeah. So working on a lot of these tools, and alright, one last thing is we got all the pallets. There we go. Every single palette from the entire game, just as a file. We convert it to a PNG as well. There we are. I've only done the first 6 because like the rest are meant for when you get hurt, etc. So hopefully this video wasn't too fucking boring for you. It's just a lot of concentrating with hex editor, counting pixels in paint.net. There are a few limitations with the tools, however. For example, I've still got a thing open. Say you wanted to replace the arch fill with the, or arch file, whatever the fuck, with a angry square box. It won't look like that when you replace it, it will look like that. So yeah, the only way to fix all that is to delete the entire graphics that are already stored in the ROM and rearrange it yourself. So that's going to be a lot of work making a new tool for that, but I have to define every single texture, sprite and flat first before I do that. But yeah, for now, just uncensor fucking everything. Change the PC palette so the colors actually look right in the graphics. And yeah, I'd say you'd have a very solid port. You can also replace the sound effects. I've done that with the shotgun. Replace the shotgun with the sound from the PS1 version. There we go. Blues look good. Blues look good. Got the sky looking pretty nice. I'd say it's pretty solid. What I'm trying to do right now is actually replace the hanging bodies that are absent on this version using some of the blank parts from the ROM. But yeah, other than that, so far so really good progress. Anyway, that's it for the video. I can finally go and sleep. See ya.